it's shared internally, so it's not like we're, on the homepage or anything like that. It's just for those who couldn't make it out directly in person. We wanted to make sure they had an opportunity to hear our kickoff discussion. They missed Chuck's wonderful words, so we're just going to have to make up for that a little bit. So maybe I'll just start out with a little bit of my intro, which will follow Chuck's. So I'll be his political interpreter. No, I'm just joking. But as Chuck mentioned, this is going to be a good time of just discovering what we already have in both OnBase, and then discovering what opportunities we have to partner with Hyland, whether that's beyond OnBase or just existing tools that we have in OnBase that maybe are not mapped yet to needs or requirements that exist in Claremont. So there may be some things that aren't connected yet that could be connected. So just a real brief history, because I know some of us have been here for a while in Claremont, the Claremont colleges, but some of us have not. OnBase actually started out with financial services, and it was primarily used for the financial services when the RFC process was coming online. And so, welcome. Go ahead and find a place to sit down. We've also got the chairs on the inside, but you can grab a chair anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like super awkward and walk over here.
Not a problem.
Welcome.
Not a problem.
Hi, morning. Good morning.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, you're not late. We were just going through a little bit of the pre-introduction. So Hyland hasn't even taken over yet, and they really have the bulk of the real program. So right now I'm just vamping, so don't worry about it. So yeah, I was just starting off just thanking everybody for being here, and then also to give just a brief, kind of background with OnBase at Claremont Colleges. Started out with the RFC process, request for check, and financial services. And then it kind of morphed from that as we launched Workday years after that. More from that, and we see our primary users today are in the financial aid registrar, admissions across the undergraduate schools. But we also have a lot of other things internally at TCCS. We're your service provider at the Claremont Colleges, and we store a number of documents across all of our business units in there. So the tool has really been used in a lot of different ways. But what we noticed is that we kind of have, for lack of a better term, maybe silos of use across different departments. And our team, and Debbie particularly, has done a great job with Veronica and everything, pulling everybody back together to do like user group meetings and get people to share information about what they're doing with OnBase and how it's being used, so that people can share information, discover new solutions together. And we've seen some growth from that, additional people adopting the system, more documents in the system. So that kind of fast forwards us to today, where we have over 3 million documents that are in the system today. So when you think about it in your office, you may just think, oh, well, we have, maybe a few hundred or maybe 1,000 or a couple thousand or whatever your little niche is, but it actually is storing quite a bit of information for the Claremont colleges as a whole. So that just underscores the fact that it's a system that we value as your service provider, like it's an important system to us. We put a lot of priority and effort in making sure that we maintain it well for you. And so at this function today, not only are we going to look at what we might be able to use with our existing functionality, look at what else we may be able to partner with Hyland in, but we're also looking at two main areas from the TCCS perspective, and one of those is functional. So when I say functional, I mean like it's focused on what you need and what you're doing in your offices, and how what we've already purchased and are maintaining could be used by you to make your jobs easier, better, more efficient, whatever label you want to put on that. It's whatever really you need it to be. And so we want to take some extra time over these next few days to really deep dive into that and hear from you about what it is that you do and how your use of OnBase is either working really well, or some high-level concerns that you have, or struggles that you have that we can address. but also to see if there's new opportunity there. And then the second area is security. So a lot of the IT folks in the room and those who aren't in IT know that security is a big concern for higher ed. It has been for a while, but as you hear more breaches and all of that sort of thing, the data that's housed in OnBase is very sensitive. It's very important to all of us, all of our institutions. So we want to make use of all security tools that Hyland provides to ensure that that data is really secure, it's housed appropriately, and it's very maintainable. So that's something that as your service provider, we're also going to be looking at. And that doesn't necessarily have to come up so much in these discussions, but we'll be listening and we'll be checking in with Hyland to make sure we're doing things in the most secure way possible. So those are the two real focus areas. And then just ongoing, we want to be working very closely with Hyland to map out the next year of effort that we plan with all of you and as your service provider of kind of our calendar of projects to see what we implement over the next calendar year based on the outcome of these discussions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Hyland. We've reached our 9 o'clock hour, so now as people actually tune in, they get the real stuff and not my intro. So I'll just turn it over to you all. Ross, are you going to start?
Yeah.
No, sure.
Come on.
Yeah.
Morning.
Good morning. There's some chairs that we can access over here. Those over there. Feel free to sit on the inside if you need to here.
My old crew back.
I'm like, look, it's just like old times. We're friends again.
All right, well, my name is Ross Kohlmeyer, and I'm the account manager for the consortium, so it is nice to meet everyone, actually get on campus. I'm new to the account and excited to learn more about what you guys are doing by our sessions today, but to also, through those sessions, like Jeremy just said, kind of help grow the solution, find out how we can make things better here at Claremont. Obviously, we want to see a return on investment on OnBase, and you guys have done a lot with it to date, but hopefully through these sessions, we can learn how we can even make it more powerful here at Claremont. I'm just excited to meet everybody. I'm glad that everybody could show up today. This is a great turnout. We've got a team of Highlanders here today from the services side, the technology side, technical side with Larry. So we're going to show some things today. We'll talk about solutions, learn more about what you're doing, but just excited about this partnership and Debbie and Jeremy having us come here to really just help, the growth of OnBase here at Claremont and just help me learn more, obviously being new to the account. The campus is beautiful. Everybody I've met so far has been awesome to work with, and we're excited about this session. So there's going to be a lot that we're going to talk through today. We're going to want to learn more about what you're doing. While we're here to offer our opinions, we can only really do that by learning from you and hearing what you're doing today with OnBase. Obviously, there's a lot of documents in the system. We want to keep those secure. Sounds like a couple of the points we definitely want to touch on. But there's a lot of cool solutions and a lot of great things coming from OnBase and some of the new platforms that come in. Veronica has had a chance her last visit to campus to kind of hear about those things. So there's some really cool things with OnBase that are coming down the road. But we're focused on what you're doing today and how we can help grow that throughout Claremont.
Thanks, Ross. So my name is Brian Ryback, for those of you who I don't think I've ever met before. So my role at Hyland is I'm a customer solution consultant, just like Katie. But my past experience at Hyland, so I've been at Hyland for 6 years overall, and I was on the solution implementation team in higher education for all 6 years. So I started off as a project manager and then managed a team of project managers, and then recently have switched over to kind of working with institutions across the country to figure out how we can actually grow our services offering. And so I'm really excited to be here to hear from each of you kind of on what is working well, what isn't working well, and then to figure out how we can kind of roadmap, like Jeremy said, the solution moving forward. And really we want this to be as transparent as possible. So if we need to take breaks or just get up and stretch, or whatever we need, we're here to help you guys. So thanks for having us.
And hi, everybody. My name is Larry Woods. I'm a pre-sales engineer. I've been with Hyland for almost 18 years now. The last 10 of them here in California, so I'm a transplant. I keep saying I just moved here, but now it's been 10 years since I've been here. So yes, came from the Westlake office. Was involved with you guys many times over the years when you're making your selection with OnBase. So again, just based down the road in Irvine, and again, it's good to be back and see you guys again.
Yeah, and we invited Larry to be able to answer some technical questions as they come up over today. He won't be with us tomorrow, but anything that comes up in the sessions tomorrow, we can get back to him if Brian and I can't answer him. And then also provide that demonstration today too, for some of the things you guys want to see. But similar to Brian, I started at Hyland 8 years ago and have been, for those first 5 years was in implementations, also in higher education. So my very first project ever was at Pitzer College. So I'll make that here. And I've also visited Harvey Mudd. I think we were here for Pitzer, and we kind of tagged along and went to visit Harvey Mudd to do a training there. So I have a little bit of experience with you guys. And so for the last few years, the team that Brian and I are on now, I've been working, traditionally you could call it business development, but really we're a bunch of consultants who do a variety of tasks. So maybe our day-to-day is somewhat spent helping customers like you scope new solutions that you want Hyland to deliver, but we spend also a large majority of our time on calls, on site like this, talking to you guys about, expansion and opportunities and how can you use what you have already invested in. What new technology do you want to see? So sessions like this are great to get out and kind of learn. You guys are in a unique situation, and we love to see this where you've got a strong sort of central team, that is bringing together all of the individual groups that you have here, and you're all doing some similar things, some different things. We've implemented, Hyland has implemented a bunch of things for you. You guys have done a lot more on your own. And so while we have some experience with you, we don't know everything that you've done over the last decade or so, right? So we really do just want to talk today and tomorrow and hear about everything. A session like this is really good for a group of users like you who have a lot invested and really kind of know your way around what you're doing in the system today, because that puts you in a unique position to think about stretching yourselves to take on more of your work in a solution like this. Or, Chuck had come in a couple minutes before some of you were here, and he said it's not just about OnBase, there's other technology that we as Hyland have either acquired or have developed, and so there may be similar type functionality and modules, if you will, that you guys may not even know about yet, or that we can hear. We want to hear about what you need, what's hard about doing your jobs, what do you like about the OnBase system, and then, okay, maybe we can do some strategizing about, some things to offer, some things to think about. I think groups like yourselves, you get going, you're kind of in it day to day, and maybe you're taking on some projects and you're doing your day-to-day work, but coming together and taking a stopping point to say, let's be strategic, let's really plan where we want to go, at least starting in the next year, right? So it's really meant to be a session where we're really focusing on what you've done and where you want to go. Otherwise, it's just status quo, right? And we're sort of, some things working, some things aren't, but we don't really know how to help you further unless we take the time out to have sessions like this and sort of give you a launching point or stepping stone to launch you into that next phase. So I think at minimum, our goal out of sessions like this is to really hear from you guys and be able to state back to you what we think we heard and what we might recommend. But a lot of that is with your input or with where you guys want to direct things to. And then, there's a lot of groups here, there's a lot of users, so we can't do probably everything you guys can dream of, but I think if you guys can focus on one thing as we talk, what is sort of like, what feels like a quick win to you? What would be something that could really help you do your jobs, or make something a little bit better, like, hey, this scanning function over here is just tricky every time I do it, or, you know, gosh, I could use 5 more document types to store things, or, I think we wanna think about a year's time, all the people we have in front of us here, what can we actually really accomplish in a year, and think about those small pieces, because I think from there is where we step up and really launch our solutions, and bring on some more functionality by just taking little steps. So I'll stop there for a minute. Does anybody have any questions about kind of what we're here to do and what we expect to talk about? So, you know, this is just an intro session, but we're gonna wanna hear a lot from you over, you know, whatever you have to say over the next, 2 days here. But how about you, Jeremy or Debbie, anything strike a chord with what I'm saying, or?
No, it all sounds really good. It's
Okay.
exactly what I'm expecting.
Okay, good. So just so everybody here at the table, and who might be listening in through the, are you on Zoom?
No,
YouTube?
YouTube.
Sort of, you may have seen an agenda of sorts, or you may have seen a portion of an agenda that just includes your group. But just so that everybody knows what goes into what we call kind of a road workshop or a roadmap like this, we're spending time this morning just to set the stage so that everybody kind of knows who we are, what we're here to do. Following this little intro session, we're gonna have a strategy or a vision session with some of those folks who really have their hand in helping to administer the solution or plan for the solution on your behalf. And by yours, I mean you, the users that are here. And we would just want to talk to them about, you know, things we might, as users, not see from a day-to-day, like what's the overall vision for our use of technology, for use of OnBase? You know, how are we budgeting for things? You know, what kind of support do we have from executives? So we're gonna have those kind of conversations, because that will help us drive recommendations, right? We can tell you all day long all the great things you can do with OnBase, but if you have limited budgets, if you need to gain more sponsorship, if you know, whatever those factors are, it's not gonna matter what we say. We need to craft this to match where you guys, where you're at and what you can realistically accomplish. So we're gonna have a session like that where some folks are gonna be able to chime in and give us like a lay of the land here. And then following that, we're gonna have a second session, what do we call it, Larry? We call it kind of, what's the current state and the future state of your actual solutions? So what are the things that we have built? What has gone well? Where are the holes? What are people from administrative perspective of the solution? What are people needing, or what are the challenges? What training does the team here need to be able to support you guys? What else is on the topic list here? Maybe just future expectations the team has here. They, you know, the Tiger team, and the IT folks here, you know, they have a broader picture of the kind of project requests that come in, if you will, or things like that. So whereas some of us as users, we see our individual work we have to accomplish every day, and we might see things that are challenging or things that we hope to have happen in the solution, but talking with folks like Jeremy, Debbie, and company, they can help us figure out the capacity they have to take on projects, to respond to requests, things like that. We can talk to them too about things that Hyland can offer to augment, you know, expansion. It's wonderful that you guys are capable of doing things in-house. We love to work with customers like that, because it's like, you know, maybe we take on a niche solutions or a new product and we help you implement that and train you guys. So just trying to like talk all of that through. And then we'll get into, we'll have a small demo by Larry, you know, a few things that you guys are interested in seeing. And to be honest, like the things that you requested, they're things you guys already have, but they're pretty powerful. So it makes sense to say, hey, did you know you could do this? And then to learn from your peers, some of you are already using some of this functionality and it's helping you out on a daily basis, and others don't even know it's there. So just to give you a little window into some things that you have, or you can ask us anything at that time really that you'd like to see, or can OnBase do this, or do you have a product that does that? So let's, you you know, that's kind of an open session, just for you guys to throw some questions at us. And then the way we'll end, today, and then throughout tomorrow, is have our individual sessions with some of you as users. Okay, so we will hopefully have gained a little bit bigger understanding just about what's going on at Claremont, then to be able to talk to you to say, tell us what it's like to work in financial aid for admissions. What's it like to work in those offices within the individual colleges? Do you try to streamline your work to be similar? Are you kind of solo and doing your own stuff at Pitzer versus Herman Mud? So we want you to come to those sessions, and you know, we're not gonna be able to tackle maybe every specific challenge you've had, or let's say, challenge isn't the right word, but like an error or something that's gone wrong in the software. But what has been challenging? What is just tedious for you to do, and we need to know about it? Maybe it's a simple fix, and we just don't even know you're seeing that error, or you're seeing that issue. So it's like, what are the challenges, or what aren't you able to do in on-base today that you are thinking to yourself, why can't we do this here? Why does this have to be a paper process? Why, you know, why do I have to route this around with a folder like this to somebody who has to approve? So come to us with those challenges, but also like, what are your hopes and dreams, right? Like, if there was one thing on-base could do for you, or a piece of technology could do for you to make your job easier, just come ready to talk to us about that. And hopefully by sharing similar users, like let's say the registrar folks or financial aid from the different colleges in one room. Again, we're facilitating that learning from each other. Or somebody has, hey, we do this over here, you know, how about that? So it's kind of like, we can only go so deep in an hour-and-a-half session to talk about requirements, if you will. Like, that would have to be a follow-up if you wanted to do X solution, and how does it really need to work? So those are things that you can maybe jot down and say, really love to have sessions like that, and you can bring those to your folks, and they can come to us and say, Hyland, you know, can you help us? Or maybe they're able to help you internally. But from a broad perspective, what would you just love to see? What would help you in general on a daily basis? So that's what we're looking from you in those individual sessions. Okay, so I'll stop there for a minute. Any questions on anything I've said so far about that? Okay, easy peasy. Okay, so then the overall goal would be having this sort of broad vision that you guys have shared with us, some of this user group perspective and these hopes and dreams and challenges, and then for us to come away with and say, we would recommend some more administrative training, or, you know, these would be some easy solutions you could knock out, or, you know, somebody's really struggling with a scanning issue in this department. What are those lingering things, low-hanging fruit, quick wins? So what are the things we really should tackle in a year? And then our goal, and Ross will largely be in charge of this, but our goal would be to follow up with you in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months, and then Brian and I would come in and support if there were any services or any just additional consulting or direction that you might need from us as to how to tackle something that we've decided is an important item to look at.
Yeah, and so just to kind of elaborate a little bit on that, so really the outcome that we're gonna be doing, you'll see us feverishly taking notes up here. We're not playing games of solitaire, but really what the goal is we're gonna document everything that's discussed and provide this back to you with our recommendations. And so this way, there's gonna be certain sections for each group, and there's gonna be an overall, like, here's where we think 5 quick win opportunities are, and here's where we see that year-long strategy going and how we can play into that, right? And to Katie's point, like, it might not be tasks that the services team can take on, it could be tasks that you guys just take on yourself, but at least we have kind of that blueprint or that roadmap to know where we are today and where we're going a year from now. And if we can even expand upon it even further, that's great. But that's kind of the goal in developing any plan, is to just kind of know where we're starting and kind of what that ultimate vision or the end game looks like. No pun intended.
Don't use that because she don't like it.
I know, but it was still, it worked well.
It was.
It worked well. If If it's okay though, I'd like to do kind of like an overall introduction, so I know we introduced ourselves, but there was a lot of new faces that kind of came into the room all at once. So if we don't mind, Jeremy, I know you kind of did a little introduction, but if we can kind of just go around, that'd be
Sounds
great.
Yeah, so I'll start. I'm Jeremy Whaley. I'm the Deputy CIO for TCCS, and I work with the applications team that hosts OnBase.
My name is Patricia Wong. I'm the Student Accounts Manager at Hyland College with Veronica.
Stephanie Gutierrez, Scripps College, Student Account Manager.
Tracy Turkmani, Scripps College in the Study Abroad office. So Neva is my.
I'm Perla and I'm in Scripps College and help out with student accounts.
I'm Veronica. I'm in IT at Harvey Mudd. Yep. I also work with I'm the current serving president of the board of directors for the higher education user group for Hyland. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to help show you guys some resources you may not know have been available to you when you don't want to have to reach out to Ross, or you don't want to have to reach out to the apps team and you want to look for your own answers, or check out some webinars and Ross mentioned I got some ahead of the game sites about what's happening with Hyland in the future, what's happening with new OnBase stuff, and so I can kind of share some of those resources with you too.
Ann Benjamin, Student Records Coordinator at Pitzer College's Registrar's Office.
Cheryl Morales, the Associate Registrar at Pitzer.
Jay Brockensee, Environmental Health and Safety Manager at TCCS.
Ramon Urista, Disability at TCCS.
Angel Hardy, IT, Pitzer College.
Alma Rodriguez at TCCS Disability Department.
So, ma'am, Scripps College IT.
Patrick Gonzaga from TCCS IT from the Enterprise Applications team.
Nick Wheatley, I'm an ECM developer with Ramona College.
I'm Robert Maxon, and I'm also with the Enterprise Application team for PCCS.
Debbie Stone, Enterprise Applications Team, also TCCS.
Yuan, I'm Sam CIT.
Thank you.
As we know others, we invited either you to come in person or to log in or stream from the YouTube. So we know we've got other like users, right, from different departments, like financial aid, registrar, those folks as well. Remind me, I don't think that we did, but did we invite any non-users, or this is everybody who has familiarity with OnBase that's going to be part of the next 2 days, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So each of you knows a little bit about what OnBase is. There's no introduction needed there. Of course, pending any questions you might have about the solution or functionality, right? Is everybody a little bit familiar with Hyland as a company, or, I mean, I guess we could just say so Larry here is our transplant in the Irvine office, but we have several offices, but the headquarters is in Westlake, Ohio, just west of Cleveland, and so the rest
Don't
of
hold that
us.
against us. Cleveland's awesome.
It is. So the rest of us, and Larry, are you from Westlake specifically too?
What originally was
Yeah.
Rocky River.
Oh, Rocky River, okay. I knew he was close by. So there's a few suburbs west of the city, and so Rocky River is close to the Westlake office. Actually, I think an original Hyland office might have been in Rocky River as well. Were you there at that time? Yeah. So, but we've got offices all over globally, and all over the country here. So we do have an Irvine office, so probably some of you have seen some of those folks, as well. There's at least one higher ed focused manager out of Irvine as well, Brian McLean, if you've ever worked with him. Yeah.
I work with them at Cal.
Okay, yeah. So, I'm trying to think what else about Hyland. We've been around since 1991, I was gonna say 1991.
I think it's good to know OnBase is used by all kinds of different people, so like government agencies, insurance, healthcare, so that when we interact with other people, we don't always just interact with other higher ed people, and Hyland develops solutions for other companies, and a lot of times we have really similar needs. So I've gone to conferences and talked to people who've worked for all kinds of different places and maybe all over the world, and they still have the same stuff they're trying to accomplish that we do, like how can I easily access my documents, how can I travel and have things secure, and so we're able to share with each other even if we work in totally different worlds, because the interacting with information is pretty universal, and so we've had a lot of help and advantage from being able to access all the knowledge that Hyland has working with other people. And then I love talking to other colleges because that gets really specific when we talk with other registrars at other colleges who are doing the student record, you know, and they'll tell us tons of things that we've built for you guys we learned about directly from other colleges, and we'll even call those people up and be like, tell me how you did this, you know, do a video with me. We've done this more than once, and we like to help each other out. So if you're wondering what other people are doing, we may be able to help you network, and Hyland may even have information that they've built for people not at a college that they could help share with you the kind of styles and the technology, which is really neat, because that's why we try to talk about, like, tell me what you're trying to do, and then we will try to think of a way that we have some technology that could help you do it. And we've gone into offices before, and they were like, here's what we're trying to do, and we left, and we were like, I don't have anything for that. Like, I don't have any idea how to help you with that. But there's been lots of other times that we've been able to be like, here's like 5 different things we could do for you to help you with this solution. We could do the whole thing, we can do this little piece, you can see how you like it. So there's a lot of, and I would say don't let it overwhelm you. I mean, you've all seen, we can work with you, we'll guide you along, and you can start a little bit and grow from there.
Yeah, Veronica, you make a couple good points there. One is, you know, we're not here, I mentioned we'll talk about OnBase and potentially other items or other technologies that Hyland has, but sometimes we hear business problems and we just know OnBase or one of our applications is just not the right fit. And we'll say, what is your ECM or, you know, doing, or what is your, you know, any other system that you might already have. So we will ask you about your use of other systems in your sessions as well, because, you know, we either integrate or we'll just say, that's a problem we've seen people best tackle over here. We are just not the best platform for that, and we'll be transparent about that. The other thing I like that you said is we have experience in all of those other verticals. So Jeremy mentioned that you guys actually started off with a financial services solution. Right? Think about HR. Every company, institution, university has HR. I work a lot with government as well, and I mean the similarities, now they may not have a financial aid office and a registrar, but they have tax offices and they have, you know, so and the politics, if you will, are the same, the structures are the same, you're all kind of mini cities in and of themselves that need to coordinate, you know, the various offices and things like that. So we do bring a lot to the table from those customers, but higher ed specifically is the best at networking, I would say. Out of all of our groups, you guys are just really willing to share. Maybe it's just the nature of the institution that we work in, you know, learning and teaching. But those folks are always willing to share what they do with other, you know, universities and colleges as well. So that's really nice to be a part of as a higher ed focused consultant. So we've got like 3 minutes left. So any questions from anybody as you try to think about the upcoming sessions? Any questions for us, just as what we do or Hyland specifically?
And I would say with these sessions too, and I think Veronica, you kind of touched on it, don't feel that the status quo has to be the status quo. Like when we leave, I don't want people to get in that mindset of like, we probably can't fix this, we'll just keep doing it the way that we're doing it, because we see that a lot. And we won't let that happen, because we want to make sure that once we leave today, that these conversations are still being had, we're touching base, whether it's monthly or bi-weekly, because we want this to be successful. But definitely, you've got teams here that want to help these solutions succeed, so definitely don't feel that once we leave today, like, oh, like you brought up scanning issues. Like, it can't be fixed, but we found this workaround, we'll just keep doing it. That's something simple, but just don't feel like status quo is something that has to continue to be that. We want to help you grow the solution here at Claremont and through the different schools, so that's what we're here to help, and once we leave today, we'll make sure that these conversations keep happening.
And I just want to follow on to that, and I've attended a lot of Claremont, you know, workshops, hosted workshops and committees and everything over my 18 years here. Don't feel like there's any silly questions, that there's any wrong questions, that there's any right questions. We've talked with Hyland, they want this to be very conversational. So, you know, no inhibitions, feel free to get your questions out there. We'll find a place for them, even if you direct them to another workshop or another breakout session or something like that, or a follow-up afterwards. So we want to capture it all. They're going to be writing feverishly. Our team's going to be trying to capture as much as we can as well.
Definitely don't be afraid to ask if our solution can do something too, because while we've been in business since 1991, the industry changes, whether it's government or higher ed. So there could be things that we don't know that you're doing that OnBase may just have the answer for, that would, could come out of a new solution for OnBase today. So yeah, don't hesitate to say, hey, we need something that can do this, and then we'll talk through it.
Thank all you guys for coming over here this morning. I hope this helps us set the stage for what you're about to talk to with us individually. So I know it was a half hour out of your morning, but it was important to us to meet you and share with you, what you can expect from us.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Don't trip on my tripping hazard. You're okay.
You want me to pull it out?
No, it's fine. You're good. I'm gonna be here. I'm staying.
Oh.
So
You're not going.
I'm not leaving.
She doesn't get released.
Basically, I came, but I never left. So